Hey guys, Azaraz here with you again, and welcome to some more Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Now this video is about class progression and using the Cleric as an example. I came across an old interview with the developers about character progression, and I'll leave a link down below if you guys are interested in listening to the whole podcast. Now what got me really interested was the resource management of energy along with multicolor mana system. There are different types of energy that are used by different classes to accomplish certain abilities, spells, combat moves. Each class will have a different core color mana. Now this isn't endurance. Endurance is totally separate. This multicolor mana system lets the player know that this color mana has a certain characteristic and is used for certain classes. Now, there is meaning behind the color of mana, and it will matter lore-wise and through your character's identity and class progression. Now, they use an example of a warrior and a rogue having a red mana or energy bar where the color red represents aggression, bloodshed related to combat. White mana representing purity, the divine. A crusader and a cleric can start with white mana. And they also gave an example of purple mana representing mystical energy, arcane knowledge, so wizards, enchanters, or summoners. Each class will start with its own core colored mana, and it will matter later on when the classes start specializing in their abilities or mastering it. And they gave an example of a cleric merging his core colored mana with a new color of mana, creating a new mana resource. And this example is for all classes. A cleric's core color mana starting from the beginning is white, and that mana will merge with gold mana to produce the resource required for a devout cleric, whereas a cleric's white mana merging with a gray mana will produce a resource required for a resolute cleric. What's really interesting to me is that the strength of your mana power depends on the drops, sigils, and abilities you find throughout the world. This gameplay leads to a unique character progression. The example they gave, and again, this is for all classes. A cleric requires white mana. At level 25, the first tier, he's given a rite of passage where you will be given a heavily involved questline, which once completed will result in unlocking 2 paths of focus. Now, for a cleric, it's faithful focus and steadfast focus. Now, the first tier path expands on the core identity of the class. At level 50, the second tier rite of passage will have to be unlocked for mastery. A cleric's faithful focus will become devout mastery, and steadfast focus will become resolute mastery. Now the second tier class mastery is focused on creating new playstyles to accomplish the same roles, but through different means. What's really interesting to me is that they are not making it UI based. Meaning that once you complete a class quest, a window doesn't pop up and say choose your mastery. You're free to develop both masteries if you want. It's all based on how fortunate you are in accumulating the necessary gear, sigils, etc. to fill both paths. Now, a cleric's heals that's focused on resolute and steadfast mastery are absorption based. He has a special ability to summon pillars of shields or a wall, right? And think of him as a combat cleric, a heavy armor, or melee. But how powerful he is depends on the gear and drops that he accumulated for that mana color specialization. Does that make sense? Now this interview was 2 years old and is subject to change. I mean, the game is still in alpha. And this is my interpretation of what I got out of that interview. And that's it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was clear and not too confusing. Alright, guys. Good night.